Hey there, Ribbon fans. I'm Jason Ruff. Welcome to the Dry Dock Podcast. Hey there, Ribbon fans. I'm Jason Ruff. Welcome back to another episode of the Dry Dock Podcast. It's the podcast where we sit down and talk about the 40th Riverman Championship season that was, talk about it with some Riverman greats past and present while the ship is in dry dock, so to speak. Our next guest is a man well-traveled, so to speak, played for numerous other professional hockey league teams, including the Peoria Rivermen, a proud native of Canada, more specifically the province of Quebec. And he has a lot of titles. People have called him a lot of things, a madman, a menace, depending on what side of the ice you're on. But one thing that everyone will have to call him now is a President's Cup champion. You asked for it. You've been waiting for it. Now you've got it. Kasey Kulczycki is here. Kasey, how you doing, my friend?
Wow, quite the intro. Jesus. That was awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I watched the previous one and I couldn't wait to get on. So I'm pretty excited to be on. Yeah.
Oh, JM was hyping you up, and that was a couple weeks ago. And ever since then, just people that, when are you going to get JM? When are you going to get Kasey on? When are you going to get Kasey on? I was like, he's in.
You set the bar pretty high for me. I hope I'll live to the expectation.
Well, you did play a little bit of the finals with a couple staples in your head. I mean, you were like a freaking Frankenstein out there, so to speak. So I don't think that's too much of an ask.
I might be a bit slow on this interview. couple pieces of my brain might have fell out of my head.
Well, regardless, let's get started. And let's start when you came right into the river.
Ruffer, let me ask the first question here, right?
All right, go ahead.
I'll ask the first question. So the podcast is called Dry Dock, right? And yeah. I know a bit what a dry dock is, but I wanted to know what was the inspiration behind the name and why did you decide to call the podcast Dry Dock?
Well, I decided to call the podcast a Dry Dock because in nautical terms, we're the Rivermen, obviously, and the Rivermen do a lot of stuff with paddle boats and river boats. Historically speaking, during the quote-unquote off-season for a riverboat crew or any boat crew, they take the ship into dry dock to, buff out the hull, check out any caulk the hull, and basically do maintenance on the hull that's been sitting in the water for several months. And that's where the inspiration to call the show the Dry Dock Podcast, something nautical that fit with the Rivermen, came from.
I knew the answer, but I just wanted a little piece of history coming from Jason Roth himself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like so many, that was the kind of the crazy thing though with those whole playoffs. It got to the point, and I remember when this started, we were going down. I think it was our first trip to Roanoke. I didn't even remember what I casually mentioned to Guy. Well, we were in the bus, and someone, and you know who it was? It was Zach Wilkie. And Zach Wilkie came out and just kept asking for more and more and more. Sure enough, every single trip we were going on, every one of those sleeper trips, when we're all in those tight confined spaces on that sleeper bus, everyone's asking hey, Ruffer, let's get another historical fact on this. And it just became a thing. And in the playoffs, that took on a life of its own.
And that's what people probably don't know about our playoff run is that every little game is like a little battle, right? And the war is, there's the championship game. You finally get the trophy, and that's the end of the war. But every game, you had a little piece of history, and you were referring it to a battle that happened however many years ago, and you have no idea how much that got the guys going. And we could relate to the old battles and Gettysburg and whatnot you're referring to. So that really got our juice pumped up. And that people might not know about that, but that was great. That was good.
Yeah. Well, here, I guess I can reveal this. So for the championship game, we were in Roanoke, obviously. And, obviously coming off that tough loss, I wouldn't blame you if anyone was having questions or maybe having a little bit of nerves. I know JM going into overtime, he was nervous because he was going to cramp up. But we were only 120 some odd miles from essentially the end game of the American Civil War, which was the Battle of Petersburg and the subsequent surrender in Appomattox. And, we saw several similarities between that how that campaign eventually played out to where the Rivermen were. So I just recorded a little video, sent it to Guy, and all of a sudden he's playing it at the end of the video session. I'm like, oh, okay. And you're right. The guys apparently liked it. So, hey, that's just me doing what I can to help the team win.
Exactly. Everyone has a role, right?
That's right. That's right. But let's talk about your role a little bit, especially when you came in, because Kasey, you came in late. You played for a couple other teams, Birmingham and Knoxville.
Yeah.
When you came in to the Peoria Rivermen, who did you gravitate towards? Or I don't want to say who was your first friend on that team, because with the way that team was, everyone kind of meshed together. But who did you gravitate towards in your first couple of days in Peoria?
Well, obviously I knew GM prior to coming to Peoria. We played in Australia together, and then we played in Birmingham together for 2 years, year and a half, and then so I already knew him before coming to Peoria, and he's kind of the reason why I got to Peoria at the end of the year. But yeah, as soon as I got into the locker room, it was my fourth year in the league, so of course I played against Hags for 4 years. I played against Herney, Jordan Ernst. I played with Bearsy, so I knew a couple of the guys coming in, but the transition was so easy to just fit in the room, and guys were so welcoming with me. And it wasn't one guy in particular that I gravitate towards, I was more attracted to. It's just the bond of everyone just made it so easy to transition from one team to another. And as soon as I got to the locker room first practice, I was like, all right, I had the Irvin logo tattooed on my chest. I was like, let's go to war, So it wasn't only one guy. It was a whole group, really.
Mm-hmm.
From Hag to Holy Hope, from like the oldest to the youngest. It was really, it was everyone, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what always struck me, at least with your game, because again, you came in late, but just how quickly and seamlessly you came in, like you've been with the guys for the entire season. Even now, after the playoffs, I had to look back on my notes and I had to remind myself that you came in so late, but because you transitioned so seamlessly into the Riverman culture, into the Riverman mindset, for some reason, I thought you've been with us a lot longer than that. I'm sure a lot of folks are wishing you were. Came in and made a statement real early on.
Yeah, credit to Jean-Guy, who was able to, it's hard when you come into the new team, you know the guys, you know the city, you don't know much about the team, but credit to Jean-Guy, who really was able to put me in the game and find me a spot in a role where I could find myself, and it was an easy transition for me from Knoxville to Peoria. I didn't have the same role really, but Jean-Guy really was able to pinpoint exactly what I needed to do to make myself and the team successful.
That's right. What was your first impression of Jean-Guy in the first practice? Because obviously playing against teams that he coaches is one thing, but then all of a sudden you come in, he's able to find you a role that you excelled at over the remainder of the regular season and definitely into the playoffs. But what was your first impressions of Jean-Guy in the first couple of practices?
Jean-Guy is an intense man. He cares a lot, and he comes prepared, So it felt like a pro locker room, an experienced locker room, and everyone has a job to do. You clock in the morning, and you clock out after when you leave the ring. So it was everyone has a mindset, and everyone's really focused on the job to do. And I think that starts with Jean-Guy and Hags and going down the line. But when I first got in, it was because I knew a couple of the guys that, it made it easier, but definitely practice were intense. And I was like, I remember the first 30 minutes of practice, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up, I think. It was so hard, and it wasn't even a hard practice. It was like pretty casual practice, I was like, oh my God, I gotta step it up here.
Yeah, you ain't in Kansas anymore, Toto.
No, definitely not.
Well, and I personally think that one of the great stories with you is that the first game in the playoffs for the Peoria Rivermen, you could argue the game that really kind of got you going in terms of your postseason play, was actually in Birmingham, a rink that you were very, very familiar with. In fact, you, I believe, were our intermission interview in Birmingham, telling us about all the crazy hops that building has.
Oh yeah.
What do you remember most about that game, and what did you enjoy the most about at least that first game, but mostly that first series in the playoffs? Because I know for sure, one good fight in the first round, and you were really making your presence felt out there, especially in game one.
Yeah. Well, going back to Birmingham, I played there for 3 years. So going back there, I knew a lot of people. I played with the coach there, Craig Simchuk, and he coached me in Birmingham. So going back there it was high in emotions, and was excited to go back there. I knew a lot of friends I made in Birmingham came to watch the game, so it had a little bit excitement to the game. Well, plus already pretty exciting, but it just added a little more juice to my game, and legs were moving faster, my body felt stronger, so it just added a little bit more to my game. And like you said, I knew the building so well. I knew all the crazy bounce the puck could take, and I know the size of the ring, the length of the rink. I knew everything about the rink, so it really made it a bit easier for me to play in that rink for sure.
Do you have any fun stories about that rink, either from that playoff game or back in your times in Birmingham?
Well, I remember a couple. It's not a funny story, but just by the Zamboni door, by the when the door opens for the Zambo, there's always like it's not even, so there's a little crack there. So I remember like a bunch of times when you rim the puck on that side, it could take a crazy bounce and come back around the slot. And I'm pretty sure I had a goal in my career where I just like every time we rimmed the puck on that side, I just drive the net like right in the middle of the ice, and I knew like, all right, maybe one time the puck will bounce, and it happened one time. The puck bounced, and goalie was out of the cage, and it was an open net for me. So just a crazy little stuff that people might not know, but I played there for so long, so I know that. But it's nothing crazy.
Championship aside, what was your favorite memory of this past postseason for Peoria? Championship game aside.
My favorite memory. That's a tough one, Ruffer. Because championship aside, I mean, of course, our time in Nashville to celebrate was, just everyone just enjoying our time and bonding with one another, and not having to worry about hockey or anything else, just having fun with each other and getting to know the guys. I got in, it was playoff time, so you didn't have any time to get to know the guys. So just having to get to know the boys and, enjoying our time in Nashville was pretty fun. Yeah.
Well, we went to the Predators game.
We did.
Myself, Holyoke, and Cameron.
Yeah, we did.
I went to the Preds game, and we met up with Levy and who else was there? Oh, I think it was Rums was there, wasn't he?
It was.
Yeah, it was Rums.
Yeah.
Brandon Rumble. We were all there, so we all just went in there, met up, and watched some playoff hockey. Watched the future Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche eliminate the Nashville
MVP Kel McCarr do his thing on the ice.
Yeah. Oh my! How
good was he? Huh? It was unbelievable.
Oh my goodness! And the funny thing about that particular game, that Nashville game, was that Nashville just kept coming back. Then they had that lead in the third period, and you're thinking, all right, they've got it here. No, sir.
Colorado too strong, too good.
Too good.
Too fast.
You mentioned earlier on in the top of our show that you played with JM Piotrowski in Australia.
And that's where I met him in the first place.
How did that come about? What was that experience like, playing hockey in the land down under?
Oh, it was incredible. And I knew I didn't know much about the hockey there, because it's complete opposite. It's hockey is not very big there. The main sport there is footy, but people really enjoy going to the game. It's a small market, but people that love hockey really love hockey. So it was fun to go there and play, and you don't make any money, but it's just fun to travel around, and you take the plane to go to all your games. You get steak dinner after a game. You get treated really well, but it's you don't get paid. It's just for fun. But when I got there, it was after my first pro season. They asked me to go play in Melbourne, and only for a month because JM hadn't finished school yet. He was at Yale.
Mhm.
He was already committed to go there after his school, after his graduation. So I was only supposed to be there in the meantime before JM got there. But I ended up staying the full season, and me and Jim are met. Polar opposite. Me and Jim are not the same person, but for some reason we just bonded, and we stayed really close ever since. We call each other like twice a week, and just talk about anything and everything, and it just became a good friend ever since. And my time there got cut a little shorter than I expected because I made a trip to New Zealand, and coming back to the country, I got deported for breaching the condition of my visa. Nothing,
Oh, no.
nothing crazy, nothing crazy. But yeah, I had to spend some time in a jail in Australia.
Oh, no.
Hours there, but it was definitely a crazy time. And got back to Canada. I was like, oh my god, that could have went bad, but everything worked itself out, and it wasn't that bad. But no, I want to go back. Me and Jim are planning on going back maybe next summer.
Oh my goodness. I'm just picturing you in an Australian jail cell.
Yeah.
There's a very comical image coming. You and JM Piotrowski playing hockey in Australia. That sounds like a sitcom.
Oh,
Seriously,
it was so much fun. It was so much fun. To every hockey player, I recommend going there if they have the chance to go there. They don't have much going on in the summer. It's an unbelievable experience, and I know for a fact they will enjoy it. And I know I will enjoy it even more if I go back there because I know what to expect, and I understand the pattern and the lifestyle a bit more than when I first got there in the first place. So it was a fun time. It was definitely a fun time for sure.
And that led to a very strong relationship with JM Piotrowski, so much so that he bring you on to help with his clothing line, House of JMP. What was the joke that you were his unskilled labor?
House of JMP, part-time employee. I got fired 4 minutes into the job my first day, but got hired right back because he needed help. He had too many orders to fill out, but yeah. I got fired about 10 times, but refused to quit, just refused to quit. Like Jordan Belfort, I'm not leaving. Not leaving. So actually, since we're on the topic, I got a couple items to promote here.
Okay.
JMP,
There you go.
Here's the tie-dye red. It's a long sleeve. I got the tie-dye
long sleever now, eh?
I have the tie-dye purple here. The long sleeve as well. I have the short, little jogger short here. I have the little long sleeve sweatshirt, and coming soon, not on the website yet, but coming soon, the shoe.
Ooh, JMP shoes.
Got the shoe with a little tag here. The House of JMP tag. So I know he's not doing much this summer, but if you go on the houseofjmp.com, order yourself a couple shirts and couple sweatshirts and couple shorts. Keep him busy this summer. I know he's not doing much.
And coming soon, you can order some shoes. He's also wait a minute, he is doing something. He's got that. We had Eric Levine on last week, and he alluded to the fact that his goalie camp, Midwest Goalie Academy, and House of JMP are doing a collab right now.
15, I think it's 15 jerseys or something.
Oh, jerseys.
Yeah, you can fill that out in 3 days if you wanted to. Keep him busy. Go on the website, order some stuff, keep him busy.
Well, Kasey, I've brought this to JM, and I don't know how attached he is to the idea. We need House of JMP bow ties. Seriously.
That'll be awesome.
House of JMP bow ties. I'm waiting.
Yeah, we'll get we'll brainstorm. We'll do some brainstorming.
Absolutely. Well,
I don't know if I'm still on the payroll of the House of JMP, but if I am, we'll do some brainstorming. I got a couple ideas for him.
Last question for you, Kasey, before I let you go. obviously, we'd like to hear about what your plans are for this summer now that the ship is in dry dock. What are you doing back up in Canada, and how are you keeping busy, and what are your summer plans?
I haven't done much yet, to be honest. Kind of just got home, relaxed. Body it took a toll this season. A couple minor injuries that I had to fix. Broken foot, cracked jaw, shoulder, ribs. Typical hockey stuff. My sliced head. But no, I haven't done much yet. Played golf. Spent a lot of time in the jacuzzi in the hot tub. Weather hasn't been great here in Montreal so far, but it's starting to pick it up. So gonna get outside. I got a couple stuff in the work, hockey camps and whatnot. So yeah, just keeping myself busy, playing a lot of golf. I love playing golf. So fishing. Oh, I went skydiving last weekend. Yeah,
How was that?
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I never thought I would, but yeah, I just jumped and
just go for it.
Just went for it, and whatever happens. It was a surreal experience. But yeah, not much going on so far. Just relaxing and enjoying my time with my family, friends. Yeah.
Awesome. The Maniac, the Machine, Frankenstein. A lot of names. We know him by Kasey Kulczycki.
Hey, shout out Tim Hortons too. I know
yes, Timmy's.
Hey, you don't know how much I crave Tim Hortons during the season.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, iced cappuccino. It's going a day when I'm back home. I'm not even joking. Even if you're not hungry and you walk into Tim Hortons, you just magically become hungry and you want to buy something. You could be full up to here. You're not thirsty, nothing, but you walk into Tim Hortons and you're like, all right, I'm going to get something. I got to get something. It's like a magical thing that happens in your brain. It's just like, I'm going to get something for sure. I'm at Tim Hortons.
Exactly. Well, Kasey, we'll let you go so you can enjoy some more Tim Hortons. Been great talking to you, my friend. Have a great off season.
Thanks, Jace. Have a good one. Take care.